Welcome into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton, coming to you on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. You know why it's so beautiful? Because we're here and you can see us
and hear us
and everything. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's funny how that works, huh?
It is. But we are so glad to have you guys with us and looking forward to a great Top 5 Tuesday. It's going to be a great day and got a lot to get to. Got a really good show. This time of year, college football is kind of winding down, except for its award season. So there's several of those that we want to get into, and All-American awards and that sort of thing. And of course, the transfer portal is hot, and the road back from which ye came is also apparently hot for some folks. So apparently they say you can't go home, but for some people, I guess you can. So there you go.
And then for some people, you ain't got to go home,
but you can't stay here.
Stay here.
So, yep. Oh yeah, that light coming on really changed the game for me. But Chris Lee's going to join us. He's going to come in and talk a little Vandy sports with us. And we've got Chip Walters, as we always do on Tuesday. We'll talk Middle Tennessee. And we will also give you our top 5. We'll draft today best nicknames in sports history in honor of the Pirate, Mike Leach, who passed away this morning, and that's our top story, which we'll get to here in just a moment. We'll remember all the crazy and awesome things that go along with the world of Mike Leach, but we will get to that all here very shortly. But before we do anything else, we need to get you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
In girls basketball action on Monday night, Blackman defeated Columbia Central 68-40. It was Dixon County downing Waverly 81-54. Cheatham County with a 59-26 win over Joe Burns. It was Liberty Creek 45, Friendship Christian 35. Marshall County with a 48-30 win over Smyrna. Watertown defeated Jackson County 35-22. And Providence Christian with a 46-32 win over Westmoreland.
In boys basketball action, it was Blackman down in Columbia 44-40. Dixon County 74-52 over Waverly. Cheatham County down Joe Burns 76-49. And Friendship Christian was a 58-44 winner over Liberty Creek. Smyrna edged Marshall County 60-59, while Jackson County was over Watertown 41-31. Westmoreland down Providence Christian and boys play 55-49.
In women's junior college basketball action yesterday, it was Meridian of Mississippi defeating Columbia State at Columbia Central 92-49. Again, in the men's game that we were at yesterday, Columbia State's men defeated Cumberland's junior varsity 70-53. Other men's basketball action on Monday, it was Austin Peay defeating Lindsey Wilson 86-61. NHL action, the St. Louis Blues in overtime defeated the Nashville Predators 1-0. And in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies with a 128-103 win over the Atlanta Hawks.
Tonight's scheduled doubleheader action at 6 p.m. Tennessee Heat at Clay County. Richland goes to Community. East Robertson hosts White House Heritage. Fayetteville's at Giles County. As Greenbrier at home against Sycamore, and Green Hill is at home against Hendersonville. Cornersville goes to Hampshire, and Joe Burns is at Harpeth. Father Ryan travels to Kenwood. Loretto hosts Lawrence County, and Gallatin is at Mount Juliet.
Also at 6 o'clock, doubleheader action. Cannon County is at Murfreesboro Central. St. Cecilia Academy, that's going to be a girls-only game, is at Pope Prep at 6 o'clock. Also, Logan County, Kentucky in doubleheader play is at Portland at 6. Eagleville's at Santa Fe. Wilson Central is at Siegel. Smyrna hosts Glencliff. Station Camp is at Springfield. Summertown is at Spring Hill. STEM Academy hosts Valor Collegiate. Watertown takes on visiting Mount Juliet Christian. Culleoka, that game is at Culleoka. Conflicting reports on that one, but trust me. Zion Christian is at Culleoka at 6 o'clock, and East Hickman is at Fairview.
In girls only action, as Mo said, St. Cecilia and Pope Prep at 6 o'clock. But at 5 o'clock, FC Boyd Christian is at Franklin Classical. In boys only play, Merle Hyde is at White House at 7:30, and Lighthouse Christian of Antioch is at Franklin Road Christian at 7:30. Women's basketball today in college ranks, Austin Peay goes up to Murray, Kentucky to take on the Racers. At 5 o'clock, ESPN Plus. Men's basketball action, it's Lindsey Wilson at Austin. Nope, they're not there. That's yesterday. Just kidding. And in NHL action, the Oilers are at the Predators. That is a 7 p.m. puck drop on Valley Sports South. That's going to do it for your rundown. All right. Got leaves just falling in the background over here. It's like feels more like early November than December back here behind me, but there you go. Again, our top story today, this morning, it was, or I guess it was announced that last night, Mike Leach, head coach of Mississippi State's Bulldogs football team, died after a heart condition. And again, our thoughts are out to this to his family, but you can't not think about Mike Leach and just smile and laugh, because this dude was hilarious. He wanted to talk about anything but himself, and no matter what the topic was, he was going to have something not only funny, but at some point profound, because the dude was a genius.
Wanted to talk about anything but himself, and often want to talk about anything but football.
Yeah. Any topic you can come up with.
I mean, some of his press conferences went off on tangents, and I think that was the fun of covering him and his teams. It was that you never knew what you were going to wind up talking about. And as I've followed on Twitter over the course of the last 18 hours or so, I felt like everybody's got a Mike Leach story except me, and I feel a little left out.
Yeah, it would have been cool to have been able to cover Mike Leach as a, in what we do. We would certainly love to do that, but or love to have done that. But we also understand, that sometimes in the world of college football, you get the CEO types, and they're all fun to cover. So please don't think we only want to cover.
Some are more fun than others,
but some are more fun than others. Spurrier was a blast.
That may need to be a top 5 at some point, as top 5 people, top 5 athletic figures that we'd like to cover because, when you start talking about the Spurriers and the Mike Leaches and the Charles Barkleys and, the folks that you could just walk up and just point the voice recorder and just let them go.
That's right. You don't even have to say anything. Just
Yeah.
so your thoughts.
Yeah. On whatever you're
Anything.
thinking.
Your thoughts, whatever they
Your
are right
thoughts.
now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll pay you a penny. A lot of folks, and this is what you've seen all day long is Mike Leach changed the game of football. He and Hal Mummy really changed the way that football is played at every level. I mean, we went from the Big Ten being 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and 20 years later, everybody's running the spread offense and maybe not the air raid that we saw from Mike Leach, but you don't get the spread without the air raid. So,
right. And here's the thing, you kind of don't get Mike Leach without Hal Mummy to some degree.
You don't.
And
because I'm not sure that he ever gets here from wherever he came from.
Right.
Finland. He was coaching in Finland. But yeah, I mean, it is insane how he took what Hal Mummy did, because I guess he was a quarterback's coach for Hal Mummy at Kentucky with Tim Couch. Was he an OC maybe at some point? I'm not sure if he was ever offensive coordinator, but under him, Tim Couch threw for over 8,000 yards, and Mike Leach was on that staff.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad that things kind of went the way they did with Mummy, or you'd probably be talking about him in a similar vein to the way we talk about Mike Leach and what he did at Washington State and at Texas Tech and other places. And like you said, he's had an impact on the game beyond just his, I don't want to say his character, but I guess his personality.
There you go. You know how we talked about how Dabo's coaching tree has not been great? Could probably say the opposite for Mike Leach's coaching tree. I mean, Lincoln, Dave Aranda, they a little different, but I mean, let's be honest, his coaching tree is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at what he was able to get done at Texas Tech after spending 1 year at Oklahoma, where he coached Josh Heupel, by the way. So it's just been, game changing.
I think my favorite Mike Leach tangent is probably, man, there's so many good ones. There's the Halloween candy. There's getting the marriage one.
Mm-hmm.
There's when he talked about the college football playoff, though, that was when I really started getting into the idea of expansion and all of that, because I thought, well, I mean, Mike Leach is a genius. Let's listen to him for a second. And he always had some, he was different, man. He again, everything he said was profound at some point. And I think, he really won me over into the world of expansion in the college football playoff.
I mean, the guy was legally, he was an attorney. I mean, he studied law. I mean, in any argument he was going to make was going to be a convincing one on anything.
That's true. So, it's so crazy, that we're sitting here talking about this. You never know what tomorrow holds, what tonight holds. You just don't. And we say that with, having covered a press conference this morning about a reserve deputy who was, just sitting sitting on the side of the road protecting construction workers and was, rear-ended and killed last night in Murray County. I mean, the last thing in the world that you would think of if you're the one out there protecting construction workers, you're just sitting there in your car. That's the last thing you ever expect to happen. And so, you're never going to know exactly what tomorrow holds. And so please just be thinking about that. And I believe, and you'll have to tell me if you know different, Mo, but I believe Mississippi State did say that they've elevated someone into that position to take the role of head football coach, and I assume they're going to go ahead and play this bowl game.
They elevated their defensive coordinator early on in this process. CBS Sports, within the last hour, is reporting defensive coordinator Zach Arnett was named interim coach for the Bulldogs as they prepare for the Rely Quest Bowl on January 2nd against Illinois in Tampa. And interim AD Brecky Brett says that the decision to play was led by Bulldog players. The players are 100% behind playing this bowl game and doing what Coach Leach would expect them to do. So,
if nothing else, it's pretty cool that his last game was a Egg Bowl win. And
come from behind Egg Bowl win, was it not? Weren't they down in that game?
Yeah, so that's one way to go. That's a heck of a way to go. If you're going to go out like that, I think that's going to be something to remember about Mike Leach, is that he not only went out a winner on the field, but a winner in life. I think he was just that great of an individual. And so sad to hear of his passing, but man, what a life and what a character. He will always be remembered in college football, and college football from now forward will not be the same. Certainly post-game press conferences won't be. That's for sure.
Yeah. The bar has been set.
Yeah. There's no question there. All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we are scheduled to have Chris Lee joining us, Vandy Sports. He will talk a little Commodores right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. So you guys stick around with us. We'll be right back in just a moment. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731.
888-5731 and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We are awaiting the arrival of Chris Lee from Vandy Sports, and we'll get to him in just a few moments. But, Mo, we talked about it yesterday. Vanderbilt men's basketball not doing so great. Vanderbilt women's basketball, which, as we've said on this show a number of times, has been a long-standing tradition of really good, also has not been up to standards that they have set over the years. Now 7-5 on the year, but you've also seen some losses. Northern Iowa down in Cancun lost to East Tennessee State and UT Martin recently. So it's not been great. At least since December started, they are 1-2, but that one win was against Louisiana Tech, which again, another old school power in women's basketball. Just seems like things on the West End are as soon as they announce some great things on the monetary front, other things start going downhill, and I don't know what the issue is, but hopefully they can turn it around, and hopefully Chris Lee can shed some light on it. That would be fantastic. But since their win against Austin P, it's not been great for the Lady Commodores.
Commodore women. Don't call them ladies. Yeah, that was a thing and still is. They are Commodores. So, but yeah, I mean, it's they are definitely a work in progress. Obviously, Shay Ralph is in her second year over there, and they showed some improvement throughout the season last year, but they kind of had a long way to come. The program, followers of the program would like to think that it kind of cratered under Stephanie White, and I'm still trying to figure out how that hire didn't work, but it didn't. It not only didn't work, but it failed pretty miserably. And so you feel like with Shay Ralph's background, having played at UConn under Gino Ariema and that kind of thing, she knows what it takes to get the thing back up in the SEC. But it's a long climb, and the Southeastern Conference for years was kind of the standard of excellence in women's basketball, and Vanderbilt was one of those standard bearers. And now other programs have come along, and everybody's chasing South Carolina, but nobody's waiting on you. So Vanderbilt's going to have to kind of make that climb and not expect a whole lot of help. So.
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely, definitely going to find themselves once conference play starts. I mean, we know the SEC is one of the toughest conferences in all of college basketball on the women's side specifically. But yeah, it's not just Vanderbilt has found itself in a tough spot, and hopefully that will change here going forward. Right now, they've got Lipscomb coming up on the 18th, and Should be fun. You've got the Holiday Hoops Ugly Sweater Toy Drive, but that'll be on the SEC Network. Then they've got Alabama A&M before they start into before they get into SEC play. SEC play starts December 29th with Mississippi State before January 1st appointment with LSU down at LSU with Kim Mulkey. So,
yeah.
Tennessee,
they're not
Tennessee
waiting
comes
on you.
on the 8th. Yeah, no, the SEC is just, it is what it is, man. You're going to be tested night in, night out in the SEC, no matter what sports you're playing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't think the situation for Shea Ralph is as
I know where
dire
you're going.
as the one on the men's side. And you're going to have to give Ralph some time. I mean, even with the transfer portal, you're still talking about Vanderbilt, and there's a lot of things that are different about recruiting to Vanderbilt.
Sure. And I'm not sure how much help the transfer portal necessarily gives Vanderbilt for that reason.
Right.
The
so
academic
she's going to have to do it.
situation is a little bit different.
She's going to have to do it more traditional than others. I mean, it's going to take 3 or 4 years to build that roster into something that she needs it to be in order to be competitive at the SEC level.
Yeah. Although, they did get some good news today with Ryan Allen being named SEC Freshman of the Week for her performance against Louisiana Tech. So, got to start somewhere.
Well, and
Allen
that just
scored
goes to
11.
show.
Yeah, Allen scored 11 of their 15 points in the overtime in that 75-70 win down in Ruston. So she scored 11 points in overtime, finished with 14. There you go.
Guess they weren't really paying. She was pacing herself.
There you go. She was
just making sure she had a little
time.
gas in the tank. Yeah,
a little kick at the end. Yep. Yeah. So good for her.
Hey, if you're only going to play, I guess what do they play? 4 minutes typically. I think it's 4 minutes of overtime.
5.
So if you're only going to play 4 or 5 minutes, then save it for the best 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Congrats to her. I don't know. Have you seen this? Have you seen this story about Dan Jackson here?
Mm-mm.
There's an update on Dan Jackson, who had the social media post.
Mm-hmm.
He's typically, this is reading from their website, as a university, we do not typically publicly share details related to personnel matters, etc. They referred the matter to their Equal Opportunity and Access Office. That process thoroughly reviews and details the background of each complaint. In this case, Coach Jackson is supportive of us sharing the key details. I think it's worth providing context as the issue is significantly more nuanced than some accounts you may have seen. Coach Jackson's comments were posted from his personal Facebook page in response to a friend's post, unaware of the recent racist and anti-Semitic remarks by rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye.
Yay.
I guess that makes sense. The guy that we know as Kanye West. Coach Jackson,
the artist formerly known as.
Yes. Coach Jackson used him as an example to show support for the original post's demand for free expression and equality in the treatment of black and white public figures. When learning of the nature and content of his remarks, Jackson realized his post had been misguided and uninformed and understood why his comment had caused harm. EOA determined that while Coach Jackson's comments were hurtful and lacked critical context, they were not discriminatory nor intended to target any group and did not violate Vanderbilt's anti-harassment policy. The comments did, however, violate the Electronic Communications Information Technology Resources Policy, which prohibits unprofessional communication that could negatively impact Vanderbilt's reputation or interfere with Vanderbilt's core mission. So,
With that said,
Nobody likes a with that said better than college kids. Um, as EOA recommended, Jackson remained away from his duties for the remainder of the 2022 football season. He's in the process of completing relevant educational work, including unconscious bias, inclusion, and anti-discrimination sessions. He's receiving coaching on leadership and social media use. It's a complex issue, and I understand how it can be difficult for some to accept this outcome. However, I want to be very clear and reiterate on behalf of the athletics department, I do not tolerate anti-Semitism in any form, including among our coaches and staff. So this is directly written by Candace Lee, by the way. I don't hear or read the actual result, but it sounds like he's going to be back going forward after this.
Sounds like has been or will be reinstated.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the way it sounds. Now, I don't know, but essentially, this is the message from Coach Jackson. He basically said, I've lived my life and focused my career on being positive light for others to help them become the best versions of themselves. This is who I remain. I'm determined to use this experience as a transformative one for myself and those I influence. In the weeks and months ahead, I'm hoping to meet with those who I've hurt, to apologize to them and learn from them. So there you go.
Yeah.
And there's Chris.
Hey.
We can bring him in now. Chris Lee of VandySports.com. We were just talking about your football coach situation, Chris, and thanks for taking some time, man.
Yeah, sorry, caught me in the carpool line at school. But
that gets you every time.
Yeah, the plans changed around a little bit on me, but we're good.
Well, tell them we said hey.
Will do.
Yeah, Chris, appreciate you wedging us in. What we were thinking, what I was thinking when we reached out to you was Friday night at Memorial Gym did not help anything in terms of Vanderbilt basketball.
No, it didn't. And that's two bad losses they've had as a double-digit home favorite. Vanderbilt had never lost to a SWAC team before. And one bad loss in isolation isn't the end of the world, but you've got to stack some other things with that. That just isn't where the program is right now. They've not really won anything of consequence. The Southern Miss loss doesn't look as bad as it did, but the program is 5-5 at this point. I guess the best win would maybe be over Temple on the road, which really isn't that much of a win at this point. And you look at the SEC schedule, and man, I don't know how this team gets above 500, barring winning the rest of its non-conference games and really pulling some upsets in league play. And I think the league, honestly, is really tough.
The league is really tough, and I don't know where those upsets would come from. It almost feels like any win in conference play would be an upset at this point, Chris.
Well, I'd push back on that a little bit. They're better than South Carolina, and they play Carolina twice. I think they're better than Georgia, probably, but I'm not sure about it. Other than that, I think there is a gap between those three teams and the rest of the league. I think you've got, in my perception, 11 teams that are either NCAA or NIT tournament caliber, and then you've got Vandy, Georgia, and Carolina. And I think with 18 games, that's a tough gauntlet to manage.
And both Georgia and Carolina are under first-year coaches, Lamont Paris at Carolina and Mike White at Georgia coming in. So both those teams are under new management, and they kind of feel like this is going to be a rebuilding situation. This is the third year under this current regime, fourth year, right? Fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
Not where you expect it to be.
Well, you look at their roster. They've got 3 seniors, 5th-year seniors. They've got 2 4th-year seniors, and so they've got experience. They've mentioned it's a young roster. I mean, that's not my definition of young. Not to mention the kid named Tyron Lawrence, who's been there 3 years, although he's been hurt some. It's not a young roster, and I think the thing that's maybe the worst is they had a recruiting class that was rated pretty highly. It was top 25 by some, but there were some concerns that maybe that group was not quite as good as it had been cracked up to be. 10 games in, they've scored 80 points, shooting percentage between all of them, all 5 of them. You've got freshmen in the league playing on better rosters that average more than that. Alone, much less a group of 5 that's combining to average 8 a game. So your hope for this season was based on you had a group of veteran players, and then you had this group of freshmen who were coming in to help them out and to potentially fill some holes. That's not happened. I think the freshman class was also, how do you put this? Like if this didn't work out, well, at least they've got that. The results haven't been great. So I think that is what's making things tough going forward.
What does that mean, though? I think that's the question I have is, what does that mean for Jerry Stackhouse in this program?
I think it means he's on the hot seat, honestly. I think potentially if I'm hearing that the chancellor's not really happy with the direction of the program, that they need to get to postseason. Some people think that's NCAA. Some people think that's NIT. I don't think they're headed to either. So I think if they don't get really good performance from here on out and probably some overachievements, it might be tough for him to keep his job next year.
And that's where the news from October comes into play, Chris, because Jerry Stackhouse was extended in October. Do we know how long the extension was?
I've heard it is, I think he's under a 6-year deal right now. Perception is that the buyout is not as prohibitive. So there may have been some horse trading done to where, okay, you get your extension that you need for recruiting, but maybe that lessens the buyout. Vanderbilt's a private institution, and so you can't really ever know. I've had some people snoop around for it. Nobody has gotten me a solid answer, but that's perception when I talk to boosters, is that the buyout for that kind of contract is not as prohibitive as people think. That's perception. That's not reporting. I could be wrong, but when there starts to be a lot of noise from the booster base that he needs to win or they may be moving on, I start to pay attention a little bit, and that's kind of what's happening.
And it would stand to reason that if they're talking like that, then the buyout probably isn't too prohibitive.
That's what people think, but I don't know for sure. And again, I'm not.
Wouldn't matter. So you're saying that it wouldn't matter. They feel like they need to win in basketball pretty quick because they should be winning in basketball.
Well, look, they know that the chancellor knows, and they haven't won since he's been there, but he knows enough about the history of their athletic program that men's basketball has historically been their bell cow program. That's where a lot of pride has been. Baseball has come in and kind of taken over that territory, but it's still not as big a sport as college basketball is. And I think the chancellor's aware of that. He wants to win in sports. I think he knows historically it's been easier to do that in men's basketball than it has most other sports. And I think that's where the rubber might meet the road for them.
Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris, we want to switch gears real quick because obviously Colorado's hiring of Deion Sanders as its new football coach has had a far-reaching effect, and apparently it reached onto Just Neely Drive. Darius Darden-Box a former Pearl Cone football standout who played at Vanderbilt and coached there with Coach Mason and with Coach Lee, has joined that staff.
Yeah, I mean, their recruiting department has done a good job. Of course, Spartan Simmons has led that. I don't know a lot of particulars about the exact job he did and the recruits he helped with. I know he was highly regarded. If you're going to poach a recruiting staff when you're trying to rebuild a program at a major level, that's not a bad one to target because they know how to get around obstacles and rebuild and things like that. And so, yeah, that was one that I think will be probably felt a little bit.
Chris, we appreciate you. We're going to let you get back to your car line and get those kids home safe. We appreciate you taking some time with us today, though, man.
Yeah, my apology. The
No, you're
schedule
fine.
changed in our house a little bit, and duty called, and we make the best of it.
Hey, things happen, man. We appreciate your time. Y'all be safe out there.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All righty.
All right. Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. Mo, I have a question for you since you just mentioned Dion. I'm sorry, Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
Well,
Yes.
So here's the thing. I saw an interview with him, and of all places, Barstool Sports, where they called him Dion the whole time, and he didn't mind. So
Must have been a good day.
Must have been a good day. I have a question for you. Can you tell me on a level of 1 to 10 how pissed off Jackson State people probably are now that Tennessee State has replaced them in the Southern Heritage Classic and they don't have Dion to go to get money games in Jackson, Mississippi?
What did you ask me on a scale of 1 to
10?
12.
They are pissed. You got us out of one of the biggest events that we have, made us
And
get
you're
out
gone.
of it, and now you left us.
And you're gone. Yep, 12. At minimum, 12.
I would love to have some sort of inclination what those conversations are like right now, because Arkansas Pine Bluff has been announced as the replacement for Jackson State in the Southern Heritage Classic to take on Tennessee State at least next year. I don't know how long that contract is, but any chance that Jackson State finds its way back into the Southern Heritage Classic, or is Memphis going to be like, sorry?
Or is Tennessee State going to be like, sorry? I mean, I don't know. I think I really feel like the best matchup is Jackson State, Tennessee State. And so if cooler heads prevail, I think there's a chance that you get back to that at some point. When that is, good question.
Man. When you said that and I was thinking, I was like, man, how mad are they?
Yeah.
I bet it is off the charts. Anyway.
Yeah. Dion is probably a 4-letter word in Jackson, Mississippi right now.
And the thing is, he did a really good job at elevating that program to a different level, but I mean, it's almost impossible to keep yourself at that level without a guy like Dion. And I think there's some schools in this part of the country who are going to find that out as well, even if Jason Witten may be a replacement option.
They say lightning doesn't strike twice, right?
Well,
so
they say that, but that one guy's been hit like 14 times.
That one guy.
Yeah, that one. Google. He's been hit by lightning like a bunch. I don't know.
I think it's you don't get struck, or the same spot doesn't get struck by lightning twice. I think.
Well, if that's the case, Lipscomb Academy is going to test that theory, I think.
Seems
because
so.
they seem like they're going to be taking an option. Which, listen, Jason Witten is a better option than Trent Dilfer was when they hired him, because at least he has experience.
Yep.
So
went 10-2 this past year in the TAPS, which is the Texas Athletic Association of Private Schools, I believe. So,
I mean, at least he's
whatever
got some experience.
whatever that means.
Exactly. So, anyway, More college football on the other side. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, Purdue has its man. You want to know how coaching carousels end? Well, this is one of those ways. We'll get to that. Transfer portal news and All-American teams right after this on Main Street Sports.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Time now to dive into some college football talk. And we do that now on Main Street Sports Today. Presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. It's Top 5 Tuesday. We've got Chip Walters, who will join us here in just a few moments at the top of the hour. And then we've got the top 5 best nicknames in sports history. Should be a lot of fun. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Couple of things. Number one, again, Purdue has hired Illinois' defensive coordinator to be its next football coach, Ryan Walters, who spent the last year on the staff with Brett Bielema. What I'm hearing, a lot of folks like this hire.
I like the hire because you're weakening one of your biggest rivals.
Right. So I think this is interesting. Becomes
36 years old, spent the last 2 years at Illinois and was a finalist for the Broyles Award this year.
Well, there you go.
So
for those who don't know, the Broyles Award is presented to the best assistant coach in the country. Yeah. So finalist for that, seems like you should be a finalist for some jobs.
This says that he was he was also defensive coordinator at Missouri for 4 or 5 years, from 2016 to 2020 under Barry Odom and Drinkwitz, for whatever that's worth. Played at Colorado and was a top candidate for that spot that he obviously did not get. But so I guess he's ready.
A native of Colorado, Aurora, which before now, about the only people who went to Colorado were natives of Colorado. So there's that. But yeah, I think that's it's pretty impressive, man. He was part of a mentorship program for minority football coaches. I think this is going to be an interesting hire. And like you said, the biggest thing it does is it weakens a division opponent.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting in that, if you look at Purdue's more recent hires, they've been pretty offensive minded at the top of that program, going back to, Joe Tiller when he had Drew Brees there and so many other guys. They've been a real, throw it around a lot type outfit in the Big Ten. He obviously comes from a defensive background, the first time since the 80s when they had Leon Burtnett, according to this ESPN piece that I'm looking at. So that's that's interesting to me that they're kind of switching gears in terms of maybe they're going to be a bit more focused defensively than they have been in years past and in previous regimes. Walters becomes the fourth youngest coach in FBS football behind Kenny Dillingham, Kane Womack down at South Alabama, and Dan Lanning. So kind of a out of the box move for Purdue on a number of fronts, looks like.
Good for them. I mean, look, I know that they be careful with different directions because the direction they were in landed them in the Big Ten championship game now.
Well, they didn't choose to go in a different direction.
No. Well, I'm just mean that they're going for a different type of hire than they have been doing. So I'm not, you got to be careful when you do that. But I think here's the thing. If your offense is pretty good, if you hire a guy like Walters to shore up that defense, and here's the thing, you can't forget this. Nebraska and Wisconsin have new coaches. They're coming. Iowa's still Iowa. Illinois proved that they can be a force to be reckoned with too. As long, Brett Bielema is going to have them ready to go here soon. The Big Ten West is about to be is on the verge of being pretty competitive. Now I don't know what that means nationally, but they're going to be pretty competitive amongst themselves.
Yeah, and
with
don't
Minnesota too.
Don't sleep on Northwestern either. I mean, Pat
Sure.
Fitzgerald has, for Northwestern, done a pretty good job for a pretty good while.
Yeah. I mean, that's a team that you can't – they kind of had that Nebraska feel this year where, every little thing went against them for the most of the year. But, yeah, they're a team that can beat anybody in the Big Ten. They showed that against Ohio State. So –
But it was windy, Chris.
Oh, well. I mean – if you're Ohio State, you ought to be able to line up and run it down Northwestern's throat if you're, the number 3 team in the country or 4 team in the country, whatever you're supposed to be. But hey, who am I? What do I know?
Boom.
Yeah. So congrats to Purdue. I think they got a good hire. I think this is going to be a solid move for them. And I'm interested to see how the Big Ten West shakes out next year. Again, PJ Fleck's up there rowing the boat. Like you said, Pat's done a great job at Northwestern. You've got who's at Nebraska? Who took that job?
Matt Rule took that job.
That's right. Matt Rule at Nebraska. I mean, this is going to be an interesting division. It may be a kind of like this year because Kirk Ferentz isn't going anywhere. That Iowa defense is still going to be really good. So
I think that there are some Iowa fans that wish he was going somewhere.
There may be a few. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting division to watch. I'm just saying. Yeah. I want to talk real quick. All-American teams were announced. First team All-American, Biletnikoff winner Jalen Hyatt joins Marvin Harrison Jr. and Xavier Hutchison out of Iowa State as a wide receiver on the first team. Other first teamers from the SEC include Osiris Torrance, fourth-year guard out of Florida. On defense, obviously, Will Anderson from Alabama, Jalen Carter from Georgia, Drew Sanders, linebacker out of Arkansas. I think that's it for first-teamers in the SEC. No, Christopher Smith, safety from Georgia. But Caleb Williams, AP, first-team quarterback. That running back duo, man, Bijan Robinson and Blake Corum, I'd hate to see that coming at you.
Man. That'd be nasty.
Speaking of Northwestern, they have a first-team tackle, Peter Skoronsky.
That sounds like a good Big Ten name.
Whose name is much harder to pronounce than the other guy who made the first team at tackle, Joe Alt. It's infinitely more difficult to pronounce.
Yeah.
Second team, I don't know. I'm not going to go through it. Brock Bowers made made it as tight end. But third team quarterback, Mo, the third best quarterback in the country.
There you go.
Who didn't find its way to New York, apparently. Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't get it, but I don't have to. Who am I and what do I know, right?
Who are you and what do you know? That is a good question.
Nothing.
Clearly.
Yeah.
But third team running back, Dwayne McBride out of UAB.
Okay.
I've got a wasp.
I thought you took care of that.
Apparently I did not, because I got one right here. Anyway, Dwayne McBride led the country in rushing yards this year. That's good enough to be the third team running back as an All-American. Hey, that's pretty good though. Do you consider second and third teamers All-Americans, or do you just consider first teamers All-Americans?
I mean, if you were named, you were named. I'm not gonna deny those kids the opportunity to call themselves All-Americans. It's a great honor.
I mean, 130 something teams. I feel like 3 all-star teams is probably pretty good.
Sure,
like that's probably a good number.
Yeah. Like I said,
never been a big honorable mention guy.
I'm not an honorable mention guy really at any level, but like you said, third team out of 130 programs, I don't have a problem with that. Because I mean, again, you just mentioned the McBride kid led the nation in rushing, and he's third team.
It's crazy, right?
I mean, if there's only 2 teams, he doesn't get that recognition.
Right.
Never mind that he's the leading rusher in the country in Division I.
That blew my mind. How they were the second teamers. I was looking like Bijan and Blake Corum. Look,
tough to argue.
You can't argue with those two.
Who was second team? I've not seen the list.
Hold on. I'll tell you in just a second. Second team running backs included Chase Brown out of Illinois and Muhammad Ibrahim out of Minnesota. So I'm gonna call. Maybe there's a little bias somewhere. I don't know, because 3 of the 4 were
from
Big
the Big
Ten
Ten
running backs.
Yeah.
And
none from the SEC.
None.
Who was the best running back in the SEC, though?
True answer?
Is it the Georgia kid?
Maybe.
Whose name I can't remember? I mean, maybe it's the fact that we can't call a name when we ask that question. Maybe 3 guys from the Big Ten are due. And we talked about it from the start of the season that this was a quarterback-driven league.
Oh, Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss.
So where is he?
He's not on the list. Wow. Nor is Rocket Sanders from Arkansas.
Well, Arkansas wasn't great. I was surprised that they had a linebacker on there.
The first teamer.
Yeah.
That's why I was.
And it wasn't Bumper Pool.
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback. But Quinshon Judkins ran for 1,476 yards and 16 touchdowns.
And he's not one of the top 6 running backs in the country.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm a little suspicious of that. But
that's a little sus.
It is. It's sus, as the kids would say, as the young folks would tell us.
As the young folks would say.
Before we get out of here, a couple of things. Grayson McCall and Emory Jones have entered the portal. Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. Obviously, his coach is gone, so he's like, hey, maybe I can probably parlay my success into something bigger than Coastal Carolina. Emory Jones,
maybe I'll just head up to Liberty.
He might just head up to Liberty, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But Emory Jones, who left Florida, went to Arizona State, played in 7 or 8 games and lost his starting job.
State, huh?
Now he's dipped.
Emory Jones and JT Daniels. I mean, it was funny. I saw a tweet. There is a transfer portal Twitter account, I think, and it retweeted Daniels's announcement that he is back in the portal, and it said, "We like our return customers."
It's almost a scheduled tweet, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, reservations for one, Mr. Daniels.
I mean, he's one conference shy of playing in all 5 Power 5 conferences.
But maybe he's got a little punch card or something. That
is it like when you go to the Bourbon Trail, they send you they send you a T-shirt and a flask or something.
He's getting his passport stamped by every conference he plays in. Yeah,
he will have visited 80% of Power 5 teams by the time he's done. Now, that being said, one quarterback, as we said, planning to stay home, and that's not great news for us, Mo, Middle Tennessee and JSU fans, as Austin Reed, Western Kentucky's heralded quarterback, has decided to stay in Bowling Green and will continue his career as a Hilltopper.
Well, maybe he looked into the portal and saw who was in there and is like, you know what? I'm going to just chill here in Bowling Green. Go down to the Corvette Museum and hang out. See if I can get me an NIL down there.
That's what I'd do if I could get me an NIL deal with Corvette. Yes, please.
Yes, sign me up.
Yep. I mean, come on,
a big red one, right?
I do think he has a deal though that he gets free season tickets to see the hot rods now. So minor league baseball for the win.
There's worse things. Yeah.
Let's take a break and we'll talk more Middle Tennessee State on the other side of it. Chip Walters standing by. So stick around right here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joints, back after this.
Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Young and Mo Patton here on this Tuesday, Top 5 Tuesday. And looking forward to this next segment as we get a chance to bring in our regular Tuesday guest, Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders. Chip, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Doing good. Getting kind of a busy week. We shot a bowl preview show today with several folks that will debut on Sunday night on YouTube. So that'll be on the Blue Raider Athletics channel on YouTube. It'll on Sunday night. Getting ready for obviously a big week of basketball. Lady Raiders host Houston tomorrow night, and then Chattanooga coming in for the men on Thursday night, and what will be the 50th birthday party for Murphy Center. Had our first coaches shows for basketball last night over at the Boulevard, and then tomorrow morning we've referenced a couple of times very generously of you guys my Wednesday morning show on WGNS here in Murfreesboro. Tomorrow we're doing Murphy Center Memories. I've got Jimmy Earle, Harold Smith, Jim Simpson, Ed Arning, Bill Smotherman, and Charlie Pigg. The latter two were guys who helped build the building back 50 years ago. So that'll be a fun hour tomorrow.
Now, Chip, last week you had who did you have on last week? Because I wanted to mention it to you because I recognize some of the names. It was Joe Williams.
Had Joe Williams and Norm Parton. Yeah, we did a little racing update. Had Joe for a half hour and Norm Parton for a half hour talking about all the goings on out at the Super Speedway and at fairgrounds and all that was happening there and meetings, with public opinion and all that. So that was a fun half hour or a fun hour.
It's tough to not have fun with those two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want, and I thought, if I'm going to do a show that, talks about the local politics of racing and all that's going on there, those are the two best I could think of.
Oh, without question. Yeah. Chip, as you mentioned, it's kind of the calm before the storm with regards to the next couple of days on the hardwood for MTSU with this women's game tomorrow against Houston. First of all, I mean, that's another headliner. That's another opportunity for the Lady Raiders to get another scalp. And as Rick was saying after the Louisville game, they're trying to get in the NCAA tournament right now, and building up that resume prior to conference play is going to really put them in a good position, regardless of how conference play goes. Just in case they do slip up, but they're putting together. They're, as they like to say, they're stacking some wins right now.
And what did I see in the net? They're 18 this as of yesterday or today in the NCAA net rankings, which if you can hold that spot, that you don't have a whole lot to worry about. But they've gotten an ACC win over Louisville. They went on the road and got a win over an American Conference team in Memphis, and really just kind of handled Memphis with ease a little bit. They did have a little bit of a stumble in the third quarter, but really never lost control of that basketball game. And here they've got another team in Houston, another American team coming in, and so that they always have scheduled themselves to where if they can take care of their non-conference schedule, they're going to be in a good spot once the conference race gets here. And I think really, as they look back, about the only one they'd like to have back was the Texas Tech game, and that was a game that they led for 37 minutes, and Texas Tech came back and got them at the very end out in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if you could have had that Big 12 win on top of everything else, you'd really I don't feel good right now, but you'd really feel good heading into the holidays with that one. So, but again, chance to pick up another big one tomorrow against Houston, and then, as you said, happy 50th to Murphy Center with Chattanooga coming in Thursday.
Yeah, and the thing is, Nick and his crew, we can all talk and reminisce and do all of that, and but they need to have their focus on the basketball game, because this is another great opportunity when you talk about picking up big non-conference wins. Chattanooga comes in, Middle is in the 80s in Ken Palm, or in the net, in like 118 in Ken Palm, and Chattanooga is somewhere very, very close to that. Both teams are 7-3. Both teams have had good non-conference wins, so this will be a quality game for both Middle and Chattanooga, and the same will go next week on the 21st when Murray State comes in. So we'll obviously have a chance to talk about that later, but this Chattanooga team, they have a new coach this year, and and the reason they have a new coach is they had a lot of success a year ago. They've got they pulled one guy out of the transfer portal this year. It was a transfer out of VMI who I know Middle was talking to him as well. He's a 7-footer who is who really shoots it well. He's maybe their best 3-point shooter, so he's obviously a tough matchup. But the basketball game should be outstanding, in the event with a lot of the things they have planned, I think is going to be. It's one of those, get in your seats early and enjoy this one, because you're going to have members of the 1972-73 Middle team that opened up the building, and ironically, Lee Fowler got invited back, obviously, because he was former athletic director at Middle, and he called some of his buddies that he was on the Vanderbilt team that played in that very first game, and there's like 6 or 7 of those guys coming back. So
I'm told that Jeff Fosness is among those as well. So
that's right,
part of the Vanderbilt F troop.
Yep, Ray Maddox, and some others. So that and I think they're all going to be kind of introduced at halftime. And somebody said, well, why don't we throw a basketball out there and let them play a little bit? And they were all going, no, there's too big a chance for broken hips out there on that. So, but that there's going to be there's been a 40-minute documentary made about Murphy Center, and it's going to be debuting on YouTube on Friday morning, but they're going to show a teaser at halftime, and then they're going to show a 10-minute version after the game in the arena. And so that's going to be, they've done a lot of work on that and got a lot of archival footage and photos and all of that. So that's going to be that's going to be a lot of fun. Some really good giveaways. They've got rally towels that have the new court design with their gray towels, just like that match the floor, and have all that. That's going to be a giveaway. They had the Elvis posters at a couple of weeks ago that was good. And then
hang on just a second, Chip. Hold on just a second.
Yeah. What do you got? Oh, you got. Oh,
I bet Mo's got a poster.
I bet he does too. I bet he's got his Elvis poster back there that had all the dates that Elvis played in Murphy Center. There it is. I see it.
When when you get seats like his.
Oh, there's no question. What have you got?
You've already
got the rally towel. So
yeah, they were giving them away at the Louisville game as well.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. There you go. So, and it's a pretty good matchup of how the floor looks, but it's it's just an exciting week. And I was talking to a ticket manager today and said, tickets have been they've been steady in ticket sales. And if you go to goblueraiders.com, there's a splash page there, and they have rollback prices to 1972, and you can purchase $4 tickets in the end zone sections, and you don't have to have any sort of promo code. But it's going to be a great night to reminisce, and you're going to see two really good basketball teams also.
Should be a lot of fun. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chip, after that, I mean, what's next? You mentioned Murray coming in here on the 21st for the men. What do the women have coming up between now and the holiday?
They've got one game next. Hold on, let me check my calendar.
They've got
right
Rice.
Here.
They've got
Rice next Tuesday, and that's a midday game. It's an education day game for them. So they play
Wear the
Rice.
Earplugs.
Yeah, exactly. That's in down in Houston at the Tudor Fieldhouse, and so that's Rice's education day game. But that's their final game before Christmas, and then both teams will reopen conference play on the 29th against Charlotte. The women will be at home, the men will be on the road, and then on New Year's Eve, both teams will be playing Western Kentucky, and the women at noon, the women at noon on the road. And if you leave that game as soon as it's over with, you can get home, get back to Murfreesboro in time to see Middle and Western's men at 3:00. So on New Year's Eve. So that'll be a busy day too.
You said noon in Bowling Green?
Yep. You'd really have to hustle, but you could get in about midway through the first half.
You'd really have to hustle. Yeah. I don't know that I advise that one.
And then after, and then it's, all Hawaii Bowl. Like I said, we had taped the bowl show this morning. Mm-hmm. Team leaves on Monday. They'll have practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday out in Honolulu. And then, of course, the game on the 24th and then back home. So, and they'll be leaving to come back pretty much right after the game. And my trip will not be quite as long as theirs. I'll be here until fly out on the 22nd. And I'll only be out there just a little over 48 hours, but
he'll only be out there for a little over 48 hours, Chris.
That's all right.
I feel like that's still long enough to thaw out from over here.
You can soak in a little bit while you're there for sure.
Yeah. Chip, I don't know if we've had a chance to talk to you since this happened, but I'm sure you're aware former MTSU offensive coordinator Brett Dearman has been named the new head coach down in North Alabama. Don't know if you've had an opportunity to speak with him since that took place, or speak with Stock or anything like that to get any thoughts.
No, I texted Brent and he was and congratulated him and just told him how I thought that was a perfect landing spot for him. He's a high energy, very positive guy, and really kind of walked into a tough situation down at FAU, and I think had full expectations that was going to last longer. And once Willie Taggart got let go, he looked around the landscape and saw what was there. But as I was texting to him back and forth, and he was agreeing with me, I think North Alabama, they've got and I don't know his name, but a really young, vibrant athletic director. They are part of this conversation about the this of a potential new group of six. What is now the group of five could be the group of six of another new football only conference that would be including people such as the ASUN and another league joining forces, and North Alabama was one of those. But Florence and Huntsville are not that far apart, and I know this past year UNA played Jack State over at Toyota Field there in Huntsville, and that was a big success. And you just have to think that if North Alabama could get their toe into Huntsville a little bit more, from a corporate standpoint, with sponsorship and because that Huntsville has such a high earning criteria there. It's one of the top in the country with all of the tech jobs that are there, and really, if they could, market well into Huntsville, I think North Alabama could, in particular football, because of the opportunity to play a home game or two in Huntsville, could really, I think they could really take off.
Be careful being too complimentary of North Alabama, Chip, because the third member of our conversation is a Jack
I
State
like Luna
grad.
just fine. Look, I spent plenty of time in Florence. I don't hate the Lions. I covered a lot of great softball teams there too.
Yep, sure did. And Mo, I'll tell you, the first college basketball game I ever saw, I went with my uncle to see Vanderbilt and North Alabama back sometime. Well, it was during the F Troop years, so it was in the early '70s.
Oh wow!
So that was sitting up in 3F or 3L, or I can't remember which end we were sitting in, but we were up in the upper deck.
Josh Looney is who you were trying to come up with, Chip, the new AD down at UNA.
If he tries to take him to FBS, he might be Looney. I don't know.
Previously worked for both the Orlando Magic and the Kansas City Chiefs, among other things. So obviously coming in there with some ideas.
Yeah, and he's coming in from a little different perspective than a lot of college athletic directors, and everybody's trying to find their niche and have their own way of thinking and try to look at things in a different way, and he's been two quality places, so that could be good for UNA.
I'll look forward to seeing what happens. We had Matt Brown on, and basically he said, well, the biggest obstacle to them creating another conference is it's illegal right now. So
why does that stop anybody, right?
Other than that, that minor detail. Yeah.
But you all had a little bit of a conversation about transfer portal, and there was a certain, and I'm going to just put this out there, more of an opinion piece or a question. A certain player went into the transfer portal, then decided, no, I'm going to go back. Well, I'm curious at that point, was he going to be accepted back? Because I know there are places, and there have been times when that would not have happened.
Yeah,
well, one, either that scholarship is gone, or two, that's a bridge that has been burned. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was the curious part to me.
I guess when
different world.
Yeah, it's a different world these days. You just tell you if they'll stay, you got to keep them. So anyway, Chip, your lunch picture looked delicious today. I enjoy seeing those each day. So keep posting your lunch pictures so that I can be hungry midday.
I tell you, that was good today. I don't know if Mo's ever been to Far East out there on East Main Street, but
I have not.
That's my same order for 40 years. It has been General Tso's chicken, an egg roll, half noodles, half rice. So
good stuff.
Can't go wrong.
Sounds solid.
And then take a nap mid afternoon. So
there you go. There you go.
Chip Walters, voice of the Blue Raiders. Chip, we appreciate it, man.
All right, y'all come see us Thursday night.
You got it.
I will.
All right, we're going to stay here, Justin, and go straight into Top 5 Tuesday. It is Top 5 Nicknames brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness and the fine folks. Dallas Still Athletes at Still Athletes on Instagram at stillathletes.com. Mid-South 5 Fitness. Great folks, 2 great locations, one in Columbia, one in Franklin. Before we get to that real quick, Mo, just want to mention John Lewis was named Division III All-American by the AFCA. John Lewis is a former Donaldson Christian standout. So now playing for the Birmingham Southern Panthers, was also named All-American. So congrats to that young man.
All right.
But now we get into the top 5 nicknames. We will draft, and you know what? I am not sure who lost last week's draft, so let
It
me
was
go
me.
back and was it you? Have you got the results?
Yeah, well, not in front of me, but last I saw you were 56%. I believe Mo was 34 and I was 17.
All right. Well, then we will give Justin first pick today on
I appreciate that.
athletes. So,
All
all right,
right.
Justin, go for it.
All right, man. My number one pick, I loved it. Still love it. Johnny Football for
That's
Johnny
a good one.
Manziel.
That's a good one.
Love that nickname.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
So
All
does
right.
that make me number 2
That makes
then?
you number 2, Mo.
I just think we've talked about him too much over the past year and a half for me not to make this pick. Prime time.
That's a
It's
classic. It's a classic.
It is a good one. It is a good one. I am gonna go. Wow, I love that we're that you guys went football. I'm gonna go hoops with Irvin Magic Johnson.
Okay. That's solid.
Nice.
All right.
That's a good one.
All right.
I'm gonna go the biggest beast to ever play wide receiver, Megatron.
That's a good one too.
Calvin Johnson.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
He wasn't on my list, so that and just not because it's not good, because I just didn't think of it. So good job.
Right.
Wait,
well, see, here's the thing. When he started talking about beast, I thought he was going beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, and since he
Also on
didn't,
my
I
list.
am. So.
Yeah, that was my next one.
All right, my number 2 second pick is gonna be. Give me the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith.
I thought you were like saying just the movie.
Okay.
The Wizard was actually an athlete.
Number 3, Justin.
Number 3 for me is gotta be Black Mamba, man. Gotta be Black Mamba. I mean,
Okay.
that's a crazy nickname, and he lives up to it. So.
Mamba mentality. Yeah, I mean, it has a whole thing. I like it. I like it. Round number 3.
My number 3 is the newest member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Crime Dog, Fred McGriff.
Nice. That's a good one.
That one. Dang, that's a good one. I'm gonna go. This is gonna be great value in the 3rd round.
Sleeper.
Y'all are gonna be real mad when I say this out loud, and you're like, oh crap, how did I not think about that? But Eldrick Tiger Woods.
Oh, that's solid.
That's awesome, because you're right. I bet
that is great value for the 3rd round.
People are watching this and they're like, wait, that's not his name?
Right. Eldrick. Who's Eldrick?
Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is, I'm going to do the jingle that he had with his nickname. The wheels on the bus go round and round and you're under the bus. Jerome Bettis, baby.
That's awesome.
I don't remember that jingle, but I love it. That's a great pick. Mo?
Speaking of great value in the late rounds, my number 4, staying in baseball, the Hammer.
Hammer and Hank
Aaron.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I like the ones, if you haven't noticed the trend here, all of mine are guys who kind of go by that name. And that's why I'm going with Mr. Larry Chipper Jones.
Thought about that.
I did not know his first name was Larry.
Yes. Oh, well, the Mets fans did.
Yes, they did.
Why is that?
They used to chant. That's what they would chant.
Larry.
Larry.
I'm so glad he went with Chipper.
And then he owned the Mets so bad, Justin, that he named his first kid Shea after Shea Stadium.
Oh man.
Because he's their daddy.
I own you.
All right, final picks. Let's go.
All right. My final pick is the mayor of Murfreesboro.
God, that's good.
That's solid.
Thank you.
That is very good.
I got a bunch, and I don't know.
Yeah, this was a good one.
Chris,
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Sweetness.
Oh, okay,
nice.
okay.
That's a nice
That is-
fifth round.
That's a lot of great value. All right, my final one. I got 10 seconds here. I'm going to go with the sheriff, Peyton Manning.
Had him on my list.
Solid. I didn't have that one. That was good. Sounds
All
good.
right, that's going to do it. We got to get out of here. But Top 5 Tuesday brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Main Street Sports Today.